Production funding is provided by A. Reddix & Associates, Health Information Resource Center, offering short-term training for long-term professional careers in medical coding. HIRCVA.net.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. The latest unemployment figures show a glimmer of hope in the recession recovery. Nationwide, the unemployment number dropped from 9.8 to 9.6%. And in Virginia, we're doing better. We're down to 6.8%. But in the African American community, it's a different story. The unemployment rate in the black community nationwide is a whopping 16%. In Virginia, it's 13%. With so many blacks unemployed, what are the long-term effects on the individual, the family, and the community? Here with some insight is Herbert Townsend, Interim Chair, Department of Sociology at Hampton University, Dr. Janis Sanchez, Psychology Professor at Old Dominion University, and Mr. Berdell Wilson, Resource Room Coordinator with Opportunity, Inc. One-Stop Workforce Center. Welcome to the program, everybody. Thank you. And let me say to our audience right away that I have a cold. I apologize to you all and to you all also, but we're going to persevere and make it through. 16% unemployment in the African American community. You know, when I threw that number out as I was searching for guests, and I will say, I was talking with some of your PR people at Hampton University, and the young lady was stunned. Were any of you surprised at that number, Dr.
The number,
Herbert?
well, actually, 16%, yes, that's an incredibly high number. And if we saw that same level of unemployment in any other group, we would consider this a national epidemic. Something needs to be done. But we've become accustomed, I think, to some degree, to experiencing very high numbers, disproportionately high numbers for the African American community when it comes to negative aspects of our social structure, whether it be employment, health care, education, crime. The very high numbers of these negative conditions usually apply to blacks and other minorities. And our complacency, I think, helps to fuel this willingness to just go along with it. And the problem isn't going to get any better as long as we adopt that attitude.
So, Berdell, before the recession even hit, we were already in the deficit in the whole in the black community in terms of jobs.
And the thing is now we are seeing across the board, not only the young people, but the middle class and people who are beyond that. Everybody now is really concerned about unemployment because everybody, the whole gamut has been unemployed for a while.
Yeah, we've got a board that shows the recession, and I want to have our folks pull that board up for a moment. But it shows from the beginning of the recession in 2007 up through 2009, which they say was the end of the recession, and then 2010. And as you notice, particularly with black men, those bars continue to go up and up and up. So it's really our black male population, Janis, that's being really disproportionately affected.
I always make the case, though, I think our black male unemployment is higher than our black female unemployment.
Yes.
Overall, nationally, black unemployment is about 13%. But locally, I think the employment rates you were given, and I think that most places up to 16%. And I think one of the reasons why we're alarmed by that figure is that it's probably an underrepresentation, because we know that 1 out of 3 African American males have some sort of involvement in the criminal justice system, and many people go to jail, come out, they don't even try to get employed. They don't even try to get any kind of legal jobs. So I think that what we're talking about as a recession for white Americans is actually a depression for African Americans. We don't have the savings that white people have. We don't have the houses that they have. We don't have stocks and bonds and resources. We talked a little bit about the fact that 15% of African American women will be having children with husbands, and that is it. The majority of African American
85%, and make that clear. Then
85% of African American children are not born into a home where their mother and their father are married. And this is not about a value judgment, it's not about religion, but when economic crises occur, people need backup. Many places, you know, a woman gets out of work, but she has a husband who's working. In African American families, there's not always a partner to help with resources when people lose a job.
You know, there's another percentage, according to the Joint Economic Committee, even though African Americans make up 11.5% of the labor force, they account for 17.8% of the unemployed, 20.3% of those unemployed for more than 6 months, and 22.1% of the workers unemployed for a year or more.
Yes.
And that's also a big, Berdell, you were bringing up the point that it's really also hitting our middle class as well as the people in the lower socioeconomic strata. So for our community as a whole, we're really getting socked, aren't we?
Absolutely, and it's getting frustrating to the people who are looking for work because they're not finding the jobs that they're looking for. I mean, there's no jobs out there that they are really looking to do, and they get very discouraged. And when they come to us here at Opportunity Inc., the first thing we have to do is just try to build their self-esteem up because they've lost that already. And we act as cheerleaders to help them get their self-esteem up. And once this self-esteem has been raised, then we can go and start working on other things that they need.
You know, there's some realities too, because you know, when people meet someone who is unemployed, and so their attitude may be, you know, well, just go work at McDonald's.
Right.
You know, go
Get a
find
job.
anything. But the reality is that's not very realistic.
It's not very realistic at all. And well, actually, there's a multi-pronged model at work here. First of all, okay, the numbers we looked at with regards to unemployment, those numbers almost doubled when we start talking about people who are underemployed. Underemployed, you start looking at people who are working in jobs that are either temp jobs or part-time seasonal jobs or jobs of which they are dramatically overqualified for. They're underemployed. Now, the issue of self-esteem that was brought up just a moment ago, in our society and pretty much all over the world, but a great deal of our perception of our own self-worth, our self-esteem is predicated upon what we do to earn a living. And when you don't have that anymore, your self-esteem plummets. And when that goes down, all of the other interactive elements of your persona, they go down as well. You cease to be a warm, interactive person with your family. You cease to be a social individual. You become more and more reclusive. And as the unemployment time span continues to grow and grow and grow, it becomes a point where you're no longer just unemployed, you're chronically unemployed, which means that you've been out of a job for more than a year, and the likelihood of you finding something is rapidly diminishing because the job that you once had, and when we talk about job loss, we're looking at jobs that are gone temporarily, but you know, they'll come back sooner or later. And then we're talking about jobs that are gone and they're never coming back. And when you start talking about erosion of the middle class, jobs that pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, those jobs, when they're gone, they're not coming back because those jobs are gone overseas. And the rationale being, well, why should I pay you $60,000 when I can pay somebody in India $25,000 or less? So those jobs aren't coming back. And then the question becomes, what do I do now?
Well, and what does the country do now? Because all of a sudden you're going to have this whole pool of people, you have this whole pool of people right now who aren't working, who aren't being productive. So how do we support them? What do we do?
My first comment is just that the middle class for African Americans is not the same as the middle class for white Americans. White Americans just have more resources. You know, you can live in a nice house and be African American, but 3 paychecks later, you're out. You just don't have that backup that European American families have. So I think in terms of what do we do, I believe in job training, and I'm not talking about going to college per se, but I think for many people right after high school, they need some sort of vocational school, some sort of training to get into a job that gets a salary. And I think one of the issues that we have as African Americans is we have an idea of what kind of jobs we want to get. But there are many jobs that people can still go into with a little bit of education and probably fare very well. And I think that's where the pressure is now. Can we get resources to send people back to school so they can take a job that will allow them to get an income? Because people who are out of work for a long time give up. They have learned helplessness. They're no longer encouraged to go out there. And many times people get involved in selling drugs, or doing things that are illegal. And that's the concern we have. We want to catch people before they get to that point.
Because you were talking about sociologically, when you have such low unemployment, then other things like crime and so forth rise.
All of that. The absence of doing something productive leads to the possibility or the probability or the likelihood of doing something unproductive, or something that's going to have a negative impact not only on yourself but on those close to you, on the community as a whole. What people have to start looking at in terms of getting back into the job market, especially if you've lost a job that you've had for some period of time, what skills do I have that I can transition over into something else? What background do I have in terms of experience or formal education or on-the-job training that I used in this career field that I can transition over into something else? I think we've got to start being more flexible with regards to the type of employment we're willing to look at. There are a number of career fields that are still burgeoning, that are still drastically understaffed. The medical field is constantly in need of people. And the training that you need to find a very lucrative position isn't that great in terms of the time that you have to invest in training. Physician's assistants and that sort of thing, 2 years of training at a college, and there you are. And these positions start off with very good salaries.
But Berdell, you've even run into people who have college degrees, who have advanced degrees. They've been laid off. How do you were talking about cheerleaders a little while ago.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what you all are doing to try to encourage.
Right. What we try to do there is just, as Herbert was talking about, the transitional skills and things they have. They've been so engrossed into one type of occupation, I can't do anything else. Then what we do is we look at the skills that they have, and then when you transition those skills into something that is lucrative today. And you'll be surprised at the things that if you sit down and talk to them and find out the skills that they had and how they can transition over to new careers, they have an enormous amount of transferable skills. And that's what we like to work on, is the transferable skills, so that they can see that there are things out there, there are jobs out there that are available that they never thought of before.
But how long does it take? I know there's a process at Inc. That someone has to go through, but if they're walking in the door and they're kind of already dejected when they get there, how long does it take you to get them to start to make that switch? Well,
my thing is this. I do the orientation at Opportunity Inc. And my goal is, when you walk in that door, I want you to feel better when you walk out that door. And I'm not going to let you walk out of that door until you feel better about yourself and that you have something to hang your hat on. And once you have something to hang your hat on, you'll feel better. I talk to people, and you should see people who come back and have been successful in finding jobs. It's like a kid on Christmas Day. They just light up, and they are ready to tell people about the accomplishments that they've had. And that encourages other people. And there we are.
Absolutely. Janis, from a family perspective, if you have a loved one who is unemployed, a spouse, let's say, what should the other spouse do, the one who is employed, to encourage and to kind of keep that person going? Because the family dynamic changes a lot.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think that what you have to do is basically stay positive. You have to let this person know that you believe that they can find a job, they can be successful, they can make good money. I don't think the main thing is how much money. The idea is to go out and find a job. And so I think you keep telling that person, keep looking, I will help, read any kind of referrals. And I think what you were talking about is important. I think trying to sign up with an organization that is helping you to find a job, but I think if you have the actual job while you're going to school for it, it's much more affirming than if you have to go to school for a long time. You don't feel as though the job is going to get there. I think that doing an internship, if you're actually doing on-the-job training at the same time you're getting the education, that's probably going to be a win-win for you. So I think the partner really wants to encourage the other person, believe in the person, know that you've had a job before, you have good job skills, you have all the credentials that you need, you can be successful again. I think that's what you have to do, is build their confidence and their enthusiasm.
And from the children's perspective, you bring the children in, you talk to them about what's going on?
I think that with children you want to make the pitch very, very mild. You just say, you know, mom's not working, Dad's not working, he's going to find another job. She's going to find another job. As far as the children are concerned, I think that your life goes on as usual. I don't think you need to go into a lot of detail about how the salaries are impacted. I think children should get information when it impacts them. If you have to do a change, I mean, I've known families, real estate, I've had people who've had to leave their homes, give up their homes and move. That's something that you need to share with the family. Yeah. If you have to change schools, you need to share that with your family. Change babysitters. Anything that impacts the children,
but if you
share.
If the kids can't go to the movies, you know, 3 times a month as
then
opposed
you tell
to 5
them
times
that.
a month.
Yeah, but that's not a big deal. You say
Okay.
there'll be some minor changes.
Okay.
We're going to be watching our money. We're going to be trying to be careful. But I think this is something that's probably impacted a lot of African Americans. I just think that there's a group of African Americans who are at the higher echelons who are probably protected. You know, they have their retirement plans. They have all these other stocks and bonds. But I think the majority of African Americans are just not in a safe place. I think this has really hit our whole community.
And I want to talk a little bit about black men in particular who are unemployed. And Herbert, I'm going to start with you, because from a community perspective, how do we keep then our black men engaged in a positive way while they are going through this process?
Well, one of the problems that you have to look at is that even before this recession hit, the population of black men who were in a family setting was already disproportionately low to the rest of the population anyway. And then along with this recession, that number has even increased. But there are things that governmental entities need to do in order to help reinforce the black man while he's out there trying to get back into the job market. Unemployment insurance or the benefits derived from that are basically a joke. It's never enough money to do anything substantively with. It doesn't last very long. And the restrictions upon who can get it and for how long they can get it pretty much exclude black men, because it doesn't necessarily apply to those short-term jobs or temp positions and that sort of thing. And when
so when they were working a temp position, for example, then they're not eligible for those unemployment.
So when they lose that job, they've lost everything. Now, this is the part where the family, as Ms. Sanchez was saying earlier, this is part where the family is really critical. The family has to be supportive of the black man while he's out there, because what we don't realize, or what we fail to take note of, is that of the 4 of the 5 jobs that have been lost were black men's jobs that are now gone. So family needs to be integrated into really trying to support this individual, letting him know, listen, okay, you know, things are rough right now, but as long as we stay together, it's going to be okay. Sure, we're going to have to pare back here and there. We can't do the things that we used to do as often as we used to do them. And then, as black men, we have to kind of swallow a little pride and say, listen, okay, I was making this and I was making this and I was doing this, and I had a job in corporate America, vacations and that sort of thing. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, that job is now overseas. What can I do now to support my family? Because ultimately, even when we don't have a job, and I think everybody here has been at some point in their lives when they didn't have a job. Even when we don't have a job, we still want to do all we can to support and take care of our families and still be an integral part of that family unit, because ultimately that's what it's all about. If you don't have family, you don't have anything. I don't care if you have a job that pays you 6 or 7 figures. Without family, all you have is a lot of money.
Absolutely. Berdell, we've got about 2 minutes left. So from your perspective, what would you tell someone who is unemployed, particularly a black man who's unemployed at this moment? What do they need to do?
They need to acquire the skills necessary to obtain employable jobs at this time. That's what we do. We are there to help them, and we are there to be their cheerleaders and to help them acquire those skills. But the thing is, they have to stay encouraged. It's just like I usually equate it to a prize fight. Yes, you're going to get knocked down, but you must get back up. We are there. We are your cut men. We're in your corner. But you have to get back up, and you have to get back up on your own. We can't go in the ring and pull you up. You have to do that on your own. Once you get back up, we are there to help you. And
so
we will be there to help you. Absolutely. Come see us, and we are there to help you. And the good thing about us is we don't let you go. We don't let you go at all. We are there until you get the job, and once you get the job, we're still there to support you. And anything that you want to do, if you're having problems with the job, having problems getting there and things of this nature, we help you with that too.
Okay.
So you have that support.
And Janis, you got the last 30 seconds.
I think that we need to do a better job in the African American community of taking care of ourselves. I think we need to support the businesses that we have here. We need to help people with the resources we have. We need to provide encouragement. We need to provide support. And we have to have a can-do attitude.
Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. And hopefully these numbers will get better and we can talk about some other things.
Absolutely.
In the future. Absolutely. And when we come back, how one local high school is using music to help its young men stay focused and stay positive. But first, here's what's happening in Hampton Roads. Recently, I had the pleasure of serving as MC for the Norfolk Education Foundation Together in Education, or TIE Awards. The Norview High School chorus was tapped to provide musical entertainment, and they did a marvelous job. But then something truly magical happened. The main chorus exited, and then walked on about 30 or so young men, all dressed up and ready to sing. And sing they did. In this world of ours where we hear so many negative stories about young men, particularly black young men, it was truly a treat to hear the Norview High School male chorus. And thanks to our Lisa Godley, now you have a chance to hear them too.
They sound like they were born singing, but this amazing group of teenaged voices is made up of many different skill levels. Just ask choral director Danielle Roby.
We have guys that have never sung in a choir at all. We have some that don't match pitch. And the voice after puberty is a different instrument. I think over time I've learned that a lot of young men are reluctant to sing once they get their new voice, we call it, because they can't sing things that are on the radio. They love the music, but maybe it's not in their range. And so in the recruiting process, as we pull them in, we range test them, we get them into a part where they're able to vocalize and sing well in a piece of choral literature.
But the tables have been turned by the writer of the song. He's given us a part to sing.
Marvin Parker has been singing since he was in the 4th grade and with the Norview Male Chorus for the past 3 years.
I love music, like just to learn about it, sing.
Marvin is a tenor too.
When you do a piece of music, sometimes like the tenor note, you have a higher note and then a lower note. The tenor 1 to take the higher and the tenor 2 is like the lower range of it.
The male chorus is made up of about 40 voices, and their repertoire includes all kinds of music.
We do Motown review, we do African pieces, spirituals, Broadway styles, things with movement, and I think things have to be visually appealing. I think you have to have a lot of movement and energy, and I think once they've explored the voice and what it can do, then you throw in that repertoire that's a stretch.
But as you might imagine, they have their favorites.
I like singing R&B, but you know, school, so we don't sing that much of R&B, but we sing a lot of classical music. I like that too.
Like the rest of the group, Michael Washington loves to sing, but he's not interested in majoring in music in college. Michael has his sights set on law school. The Norview Male Chorus just started competing a few years ago, but when they did, they nailed it, earning superior scores in all categories.
It was really inspiring to me and to them, because when we came off stage, we knew. You know, there's a moment when you're up there, when you just know when things are really solid, and it's emotional. It's very kind of overwhelming, but they get up there and they just hit it. They just hit it. It's great.
Zach Jenkins likes that feeling so much, he plans to pursue music on the college level, but he says he'll miss singing with this group.
It's really a big family, really, and we kind of joke on each other a little bit, but no one really messes with anybody in a serious way. So I mean, I guess that's probably the best part, just being able to come in here and be who you are.
like to see the very talented, award-winning male chorus perform, you can catch them at the District Choral Festival at Ocean Lakes High School in March.
These are 15, 16-year-old boys. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. They're playing sports, and they're on the Wii, and their rooms look, I don't even know. But, when they come together and they're in that tuxedo and they've worked and they're doing, 4-part and the harmony, and there's just, they hit a moment where it's just pristine. They know it.
For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
And my friend Jared Sierra is also in that group. So hi, Jared. It was great to see you. And that's our program for this evening. If you'd like another view, there are 3 ways you can show your appreciation. 1, you can visit our website, anotherview.tv, and sign up for our eView newsletter. 2, become a fan of the show on Facebook. Or 3, become a member of WHRO. Your membership ensures that programs like Another View will continue, and we really appreciate your membership. Next week, Black farmers and their fight against government discrimination. We'll see you next time for Another View.
Production funding is provided by A. Reddix & Associates, Health Information Resource Center, offering short-term training for long-term professional careers in medical coding. HIRCVA.net.